Hello, my dear children. Yesterday we started with pressure in fluids. I had told you that fluid is nothing but it's liquid or a gas. So, fluid which is contained in the vessel, it exerts a pressure in all the points and in all directions. And yesterday, uh, we also saw that yesterday means day before yesterday, we also saw that what is the pressure. Pressure exerted is given by the formula H rho g as well as the laws of liquid pressure. Now we are going towards the consequences of the liquid pressure, or we can say that the applications or some things where we can actually experience the pressure. So first point is that the pressure at a certain depth in the sea water is more than that at the same depth in the river water. So here we can say that the pressure exerted by the sea water is greater than that which is exerted in the river water. Now the reason is what over here? Because the density of the sea water is more than the river water. That is the reason the pressure which will be exerted in the sea water will be more than that of the river water. You can see the reason over here. Pressure at the same depth is different in different liquids, so it increases with the increase in the density. So or else we can see the point that pressure is over here. We can see the point that pressure is directly proportional to its density. Okay, there is somewhere it is written that like that as the density increases, the pressure also increases. Okay, so we can see that the reason over here, so we will write the reason as pressure in the sea water is increasing, is more than pressure in the river water. By because density of sea water is more than the density of river water. Then second consequences of the dam. Now here you can see that this is a dam. The same example was there for you in your 8th standard as well. So here they are saying that the dam is made thicker at the bottom. So if you see at the this is the free surface of the water, this is the wall of the dam, this is the land. Now you can see here that this particular point of the dam, that is the we can see the top of the dam is little it is little thicker than this, but if you see at the base it's very thick. Why at the base it's very thick? Because pressure which is there, as the depth increases, what happens to the pressure? Pressure increases. So pressure at the bottom will be very huge. So just to withstand this pressure, uh, the dam which is there, the base of the dam or the bottom of the dam is made thicker. So this thicker wall which is there, it can withstand the greater pressure. Therefore, the wall is made of the thickness increasing towards its base. So you can see at the base the thickness is increasing, and you can see this increase in length of the arrows are you can see here less, here more, here a lot, and here tremendous. So you can even see the pressure. So as the depth of the water will be increasing, the pressure will be also increasing. That is the reason we can say that the walls of the dam are thicker at the bottom. Okay, then next example is about the water tank. Now if you must have seen in your apartments or in some buildings also, you can see that the tank which is there, sorry, it's always at the top of the building. Now why is it at the top of the building? The reason is that the greater height of the tank, okay, as the height of the tank increases, right, more pressure will be getting into the taps of the house. So just to have a good supply of water into the tank, that is for a good supply, the height of the tank is always a few meter higher than the level. So you can see that if the tank is at a greater height of the tank will give a more pressure of the water in the taps. So just to have a good supply of water, the tank is made to uh, it is constructed at the top of the building. Okay, then we have another example which is a diver's suit. Now the sea divers which are there, they have a special protective suit. Why? Because there is a huge and a tremendous pressure at the bottom of the sea. The sea water has a very great pressure. So you can see, suppose this is a diver's suit or this is a person who's diving, lot of pressure is exerted on him. Okay, and because of this what happens, this pressure which is there, it is much more than the blood pressure in your body. In the last video I had told you that the pressure outside and the pressure inside your body is equal when we are talking in terms of atmospheric pressure. But when you get inside the sea and at near the depth of the sea, the pressure is huge and tremendous, more even more than the blood pressure. So for that reason what we do is, there's a special protective suit which is made up of a glass reinforced plastic or a cast aluminium, and this pressure inside the suit is maintained at 1 atmosphere, and because of this the pressure inside can be maintained, and the diver can withstand the pressure. Then another application is the size of a gas bubble inside the water. So when there's a gas bubble, when for example this is a gas bubble, this is at the bottom of the lake. So here the reason is that after sometimes at the bottom of the lake it will be keeping on growing in the size of the bubble will rise. Now why will the size of the bubble rise? Because there is a total pressure which is exerted on this bubble. So this total pressure is which kind of pressure? First of all, it's the sum of the atmospheric pressure as well as because of the liquid water column above it, right? This, if you remember, when we were learning about P equal to H rho g, that is this particular diagram, that time we had discussed the water column above it, right? So here we had said the total pressure, atmospheric pressure plus pressure due to liquid column. So here finally what happens is there's a pressure because of the water column here. So sum of the atmospheric pressure and the water column gives me the total pressure. So now what happens as the bubble rises? What will happen as the bubble goes up? As the bubble is going up, so what is happening? Depth is decreasing. If depth is decreasing, what happens to the pressure? What happens to the pressure? Pressure also starts decreasing. Okay, the pressure decreases, so the total pressure on the bubble also starts decreasing. Finally what we are saying is as the bubble is at the bottom of it, okay, if it is at the bottom, it's equal to the sum of atmospheric pressure plus pressure due to the water column. Now as the bubble increases in size, it goes up. So when it is going up, the pressure decreases. Why? Because the depth of the water is decreasing, so pressure also decreases. So when we are saying according to the Boyle's law, what happens? The volume of the bubble increases. Okay, the volume of the bubble increases because due to the decrease in the pressure, volume is increasing. That means the bubble is growing. Okay, the bubble is growing, right? When we say that this bubble reaches the surface of the liquid, let us say this is the surface. When the bubble reaches the surface of the liquid, the total pressure exerted on it becomes less, it's minimum. Why? Because it's just equal to the atmospheric pressure. So the bubble which is touching the surface becomes, the size of the bubble becomes maximum. Okay, so from where did we start? We started at the bottom, it was like this. So at the bottom it had a total pressure which was sum of atmospheric pressure and water column which is above it. When the bubble went up, the pressure started decreasing. So as the pressure started decreasing, according to Boyle's law, the volume of the bubble started increasing. As the volume of the bubble increases, it came to the surface. When it reached to the surface, the size of the bubble, okay, touching the surface became maximum, it became very big. Okay, so this is how we can say that pressure became minimum and the size of the bubble became maximum according to the Boyle's law. So these are all the 5 consequences of liquid pressure. First about the river water, sea water, second dam, the third is a tank, diver's suit, and this about the bubble. Now let's go to the another concept which is called as transmission of pressure in liquids. How is the pressure transmitted in liquids, which we are going to learn about the law which is called the Pascal's law. Now we have read about the equation which is P equal to H rho g, where H is the height, rho is the density, and g is the gravity. Now pressure, if we want to calculate the pressure in any particular point of the liquid, we have to use this particular formula, right? Now the pressure difference between 2 points, let us not consider it as horizontal, let us consider it as vertical. So pressure between 2 points, just I had first drawn it horizontally, then I drew it vertically to understand. So if there is, say for example, pressure in between these 2 points, say this is point X, this is point Y. Okay, the liquid is very stationary, it is not moving. Okay, so the pressure difference, if I want to know the pressure difference between these 2 points, okay, it will be dependent on what? It will be dependent on the difference in their vertical heights, that is delta H, right? It will be depending upon the vertical height, which is delta H between these 2 points, right? If I want to know the pressure difference between these two, between these 2 points, the only difference is the vertical height between these 2 points. Now if by some means, let us say that the pressure of X is increased by some means, so if the pressure of X is increased, the pressure of Y should also increase by the same amount, right? Pressure of X is increased, so pressure of Y should also increase with the same amount. So if it increases with the same amount, then the difference in the pressure will be same, right? If it is increasing, if both the pressures are increasing with the same amount, then the difference will be same. Okay, so how is this possible? Because the pressure of X, okay, the pressure of X is equally transmitted to pressure of Y, which is called as Pascal's law. Okay, once again I will tell you these. Let us consider 2 points X and Y in the water, okay, or any particular liquid which is stationary. Then we said that if I want to know the pressure difference between these 2 points, I should know that I should know the difference in their heights, vertical heights also. So if by some means the pressure of x is increased, the y should also increase with the same amount. Okay, then we say that to know the pressure difference between them, okay, when we say that to have the pressure between, to know the pressure between these 2 points, okay, they both should be equally, they both should be having equal rise in their pressure, okay, or equal increase in their pressure. So pressure exerted at the point x which is there, it transmits to y, and therefore both the pressures become same. Okay, both the pressures become same, which is called as the Pascal's law. So what is the Pascal's law saying? So that the difference between two pressure points is same. So pressure of x transmitted to y, pressure exerted at x transmitted to pressure exerted at y. So then finally we will say that this proves the Pascal's law. Okay, so what is Pascal's law? Pascal's law states that pressure exerted anywhere in a confined liquid is transmitted equally and undiminished in all the directions throughout the liquid. So if any pressure is transmitted, it is equally transmitted in all the directions, right? So for that, let us understand this experiment. Okay, now you have to take one glass flask with you, which is having narrow tubes. So this is a glass flask with you. It has having narrow tubes over here, if you see, and on the top of it a piston is pushed into this. Now there are small outlets, water outlets over here. Now when the water is filled over here, all of them are at the same level, which is given by the initial level of the water. Okay, so you can see all of them are at the same initial level of the water. But when you push the piston down, you can see that all the 1 2 3 4, all the 4 outlets of water have the same jets of same water coming through the same height. So you can see all the 4 jets of water are at the same height, given by this red colored line, which is jets of water reaching the same height. So what does this show? This shows that the pressure which is enclosed in this liquid is transmitted in equal directions everywhere inside the liquid. So you can see everywhere inside the liquid, whether this point, this point, this point, or that point, all of them are exerting equal amounts of pressure. So this is what I was trying to tell you, that pressure exerted at point x is transmitted equal in pressure y. So you can see here that all these 4 points are transmitting equal pressure in all the in the same direction. So all of them are having equal pressure heights. So this is the demonstration of Pascal's law. Okay, so we can say this shows that pressure applied to the enclosed liquid is transmitted equally in all the directions everywhere inside the liquid. Okay, now the first application of Pascal law is the hydraulic machines. You must have done experiments also of hydraulics in your science exhibition. So what is this actually hydraulics? Hydraulic machines such as hydraulic press, hydraulic jack, hydraulic brakes are used by this Pascal's law of transmission of pressure in liquids. So what's the principle of this? Principle of each hydraulic machine is that if a smaller force, okay, if a smaller force is applied on a smaller piston, it's transmitted to produce a large force on a bigger piston. So what is the Pascal's law? Or we can say the principle of hydraulic machine. It says that if you are applying a smaller force on a small piston, the pressure will be transmitted to a large force on the bigger piston. So how is it possible? So here you can see the setup of the principle of hydraulic machine. So this you can see a small little cylindrical vessel, and this is a big cylindrical vessel. So there are two cylindrical vessels here. So let us consider cylindrical vessel P, cylindrical vessel Q. So this is P, this is Q. Now cylindrical vessel P, which is there, its diameter is small as compared to vessel Q. Okay, they both are joined. We can say that they are both connected with a horizontal tube R, but P has a smaller diameter. So P has a smaller diameter, Q has a bigger diameter. So now what are we supposed to do is, when you place a weight on P, okay, when you place a weight on P, this weight is placed on the piston A. So you can see this weight is placed on the piston A. Therefore pressure is applied on piston A. So pressure is applied on this piston. So this pressure is nothing but force upon area, F1 upon A1, right? Force upon area. So what is the area of cross section here? A1. What is the force applied here? F1, right? So I am applying a small little force on the piston, okay, of cylindrical vessel P. Now here what happens, according to Pascal's law, the pressure exerted on the piston A which is there, it gets transmitted to piston Q. Okay, or piston from the A it's transmitted to the liquid of the piston B. So here liquid of piston B, this is piston B, this is piston A. So because of the weight, okay, or because of the pressure exerted on piston A, it gets transmitted to piston B. So because of this, it exerts a upward pressure which is equal, okay, on piston B, which is equal to P1. So this pressure is equal to P1. Whatever pressure was given to piston A, it is equal to the pressure given to the cylindrical vessel Q, or we can say to the piston B. Then finally we can conclude the pressure P2 equals to P1. Okay, now since this is an upward force, can you see the red lines are given which shows the downward force, these red lines show the upward force. So upward force in the piston B is F2. So we can say F2 is P2A2. Why P2A2? Because here if we say the value of P2, pressure 2, will be F2 upon A1. So instead of that we are taking F2 equal to P2A2. So the pressure on piston B is given by F2A2, F2A2. It's written over here. So finally from 4.6 and 4.7 and 4.8 we get F1 upon A1 equals to F2 upon A2, that is P1 equal to P2. So finally we can say F2 F1 upon A2 A1. So you can see here F2 F1 upon A2 A1, which is what? But since here area of 2 greater than area of 1, force of 2 greater than force of 1. Okay, so here a very small force was applied, F1, which was applied on the piston A, which produces a very large force on piston, on the bigger piston B. So this is the principle of hydraulic machine, which acts as a force multiplier. So are you understanding what I am trying to say? That here the force was given was a very smaller force, okay, and it was a downward force. Because of this force, it here the force which was applied here, it was a greater one for the piston B. That's why F2 is greater than F1 and area of cross section A2 is greater than A1. So this is the principle of a hydraulic machine. I hope it is clear, or if once again I will just take it in short. What are we doing? We are applying force on piston A. Because of that the downward pressure is there, and this we can say downward force is there, and therefore the pressure is exerted over here. But here the pressures are equal, okay, the pressures are equal here, but the force which is there, this is a smaller force, because of which the bigger force is exerted on piston B of area A2, where A2 is greater than A1. Okay, and finally we conclude that pressures are equal, so we say that F2 upon F1 equals to A2 upon A1. So a smaller force produces a larger force. That's why hydraulic machine is called as a force multiplier. So I hope all these concepts are very clear with you. Today we did consequences of liquid pressure, we saw what is Pascal's law, as well as we saw the application of Pascal's law. The examples of hydraulic machine we will be taking in the next session. Thank you children, and take care.